Hey there, I'm Nicholas Kirkhew and this is the Earth FM. Today I'm going to be talking about the spiny water flea. Nope. Today I'm going to be talking about the round goby. This is episode 5 in the 5-part series on invasive water species in the Great Lakes. If you haven't watched all the other ones yet, they're only a couple of minutes and I'd recommend going and doing that. The round goby was introduced into the Great Lakes in the mid-1990s, probably through untreated ballast water, who would have guessed it. The round goby is a very aggressive fish and it's believed to originate in somewhere in the Eastern Hemisphere. It's considered an invasive species in other parts of the world too, but it probably came somewhere out of Australia. The round goby is extremely tolerant to degraded environments, which we all know is what the Great Lakes are becoming. And it also feeds on the eggs of larger predators. This makes it extremely dangerous to the ecosystem of the Great Lakes. But there's something very interesting about the round goby. As I said, it was introduced in the early to mid-1990s, which was only a couple of years after the zebra mussel. Interestingly enough, the round goby actually eats zebra mussels and quagga mussels. It's not too often that you get invasive species competing against each other, and its integration of the zebra mussel into its diet is probably the main reason that the zebra mussel didn't spread as rapidly as people would have assumed it would, something called the enemy release hypothesis. The round goby's also been able to integrate into other endangered species diet. A classic example of this is the Lake Erie water snake, which in the late 90s was considered a highly endangered species. But once the round goby was introduced, it started feeding on them and it quickly staged a comeback. Now the round goby makes up 90% of the water snake's diet. The round goby is also in the diet of other larger predators like the largemouth bass, the lake trout, the whitefish, and the walleye. Now this can be a double-edged sword though, because the round goby, feeding a lot on mussels, which are filter feeders, has a lot of contaminants in it. It serves as a conduit for transferring these contaminants, like DDT and PCB, which there is a lot of in the Great Lakes, up the food chain quite higher than it would normally reach in the concentrations that it is now. Because the round goby's only been here about 3 decades, whether or not they're going to have a net benefit against other invasive species or a net detriment to the native species is still a little unclear. They've had both so far, but all we do know is that the round goby is still considered an invasive species until we discover what its impact is on the environment for sure. It looks like I have to round this one up, and to you I say thank you for watching and go bye.